So a couple of nights ago, I was at a dinner party and a lady was sitting next to me and she turned to me and she said, "Could you help me how to increase my confidence?" And I said to her, "Well," and this is at a dinner party, mind you. So I said to her, "Well, what is confidence to you? How do you know that you would arrive at a level of confidence?" She said, "Well, I just want to go to a dinner party and know that, or anywhere else for that matter, that I'm not going to be anxious about talking to anyone. I'm not going to think about what do I say? What should I ask? What conversation should I strike up? I don't want to feel isolated. I'm always feeling isolated. And I feel like I'm an introvert." And I said, "Okay, so let's take a look at that. Your definition of being confident, because it's different to my definition, different to yours, different to anyone's, is the ability to just go and be comfortable with talking to other people." And she says, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, beautiful. So let's work on that." So here's the thing. I said, you used the word introvert. Now, wherever you might be an introvert, you might be an extrovert watching this, wherever you are on that scale, or whatever introvert or extrovert means to you. For this particular lady, it meant being isolated. It meant being withdrawn from everyone. And she didn't want to feel that way. She wanted to be, well, she said, normal. And that's the word she used. And just to engage with everyone without having to feel anxious about it. So I said to her, the goal is to be more social. The goal is to be confident. Okay, that's your goal, and to be able to speak to people. But the problem is you label yourself as being an introvert. And here's the thing. We always gravitate as humans, our makeup is that we gravitate to what it is that we see ourselves as. So if I see myself as an introvert and my goal is to be more confident, then automatically I'm going to see myself as someone who may not be able to reach that, because my identity, who I am, says to me, I'm isolated, I don't speak much, I like to keep to myself, I'm withdrawn, yet I want to be able to increase my confidence. I said, you have to change that belief. You have to change that identity of how you see yourself, because that's how kind of sabotage works, is that you have an identity for yourself, and that identity, your identity wants to cling on to you because that's the known. The fear is doing something different. And so for us to overcome that fear, we have to change the language or how you see yourself. So my advice was, instead of saying that you're an introvert, because words have power over us, instead of seeing yourself as an introvert, why don't you think to yourself, I'm curious. I'm just curious to know about this person. I want to be able to learn and grow. And in doing so, I need to learn about someone. Like, I need to have a conversation about this person or where they're from or what they're doing. So curiosity is a different state of mind than feeling like you're isolated or an introvert or withdrawn. Can you see the difference? Once you change that frame, now the exercise of how to get confident is going to be a lot easier, because your identity is not going to be clinging to subconsciously, I'm an introvert, I don't know if I could do this, it just feels a bit uncomfortable. So anytime we're setting a goal, we always have to make sure that doesn't align with our identity. And if we want this goal, but our identity, who we think we feel we are, doesn't meet, we need to change one of the two, right? So this lady wanted to be more confident, but identify as an introvert. So I said, we've got to reframe that. Reframe it into thinking, not I'm an introvert, an extrovert or anything. I'm a curious person. I want to learn. Would that describe you? I said, she goes, yeah. So from now on, you're a curious person who wants to learn. Now, here's what I'd recommend that you do. I said, for 30 days straight, I want you to go and meet 3 random people at work, on the train, on the bus, going for a walk, and I want you to strike up a conversation with them. And here's why. Because if you're training for confidence, if that's hard, then when you walk into a situation like a dinner party that you're invited to, or a picnic or a barbecue or any gathering where it's a given that you want to be able to talk with people and people want to talk with you, and people are going to be more open anyway in those circumstances, then talking to people there is going to be so much more easier. Whereas if you're standing at a bus stop, or if you're on a plane or anything like that, striking a conversation, people are in their own heads and their own minds. You're taking extra effort to make contact and communicate. And therefore, if your training is harder, then the real deal, the thing going into a gathering, is going to be so much more easier. So I said to her, how does that sound? She says, that actually sounds all right, because I've asked friends, I've asked so many people on what I should do to increase my confidence, and they've just said to me, well, you need to get out more and go to different places. And she goes, I do that, but doesn't mean I speak to people when I go to them, but I can do 3 people and actually be able to speak with them. So here's what I said to her. And if you're feeling like you want to increase your confidence and talk to people and be able to boost your confidence in any situation, especially talking with strangers or networking, then 3 different people every single day for 30 days. And how would you do that? If you're thinking, well, what would I talk about? Am I just going to say, hi, how you going? Yeah, you could start with, hi, how you going? Or the person that you approach to strike a conversation with could be holding a book, could be holding a mug, could be wearing a certain kind of top or a scarf, or could be going in a certain direction. And you use that commonality to strike up the conversation. So, for example, someone's got a book, you might say to them, oh, look, you're reading a Norman Deutsch book. I love that author. That particular book I've read. How are you finding it? Can you just see? I'm just trying to bridge the gap between what you could talk about. I love that color pink on you. It looks pretty good. Or oh my God, I've been looking for that same kind of scarf, hat. Could you mind if I ask where you got it from? And you're just building conversation about something that is a commonality to you. Oh my goodness, we're going the same direction. We're going to Chatswood, I see. You're going to Chatswood too. Do you work there? Are you living there? I mean, I'm looking for the suburb because I'm looking to rent a property there or buy a property. Do you have any thoughts on it? It's just about building conversation. And with 3 random strangers anywhere, every single day for 30 days. Now, when your training, remember, is hard, the real deal becomes so much more easier. So there's 2 reasons why we're going for 30 days. Number 1, confidence is situational. I might be okay speaking to you right now through this video, but put me on a bike, and I'm talking a push bike. Put me on a bike and I'm not so confident anymore. So confidence is really situational depending on what situation you're in. And so I said to this lady that it really depends on that. I know that if I took what your expertise is and if I went to work with you, you would be running rings around many people because of the work that you do, because you're confident, you've done it many times, you're in your zone. But this is just situational, and like anything, it can be built. The second thing is confidence is a muscle. It's a muscle that's got to be built. And just like any muscle, you've got to work on it, which is why it's for 30 days, because 30 days can sustain a habit. A one-off thing, maybe 2 days or 3 days, it could be a fluke. But for 30 days, you're really chasing this confidence goal, and to really find 3 different stages. So I said, if on a Saturday or a Sunday that you're not working and you're just sitting at home, your job is to leave the house and find 3 people, either go for a walk or go stand at the bus stop, or whatever it takes for you to meet 3 people, have 3 different conversations for 30 days. And that allows your confidence to be boosted, and it allows the muscle of confidence to be worked out so you can actually flex it. But what's most important, guys, is that if she hadn't said to me, which is why I asked her the question, well, what is confidence to you? For her to go into, because I feel like I'm an introvert, I feel isolated. If we hadn't dived deep into that and reframed that pattern of behavior and the wording of that, then she would have done the 30 days but felt awkward, could not have done it, may not have sustained it after the 30 days. So it's really important, anytime you want to boost your confidence, how do you see yourself? Ask yourself, how do you see yourself? Because one of the biggest things about moving your passion, which is what I have a podcast on this, how to turn your passion into a profession, and you're probably listening to right now. If you're trying to change that, the biggest reasons why people can't migrate passion to profession is because they lack confidence. I don't know how I would do it. I feel like I doubt myself. I don't know if it can be possible. And so for that reason, you've got to look at how do you see yourself? And either you need to change the goal, or you need to change how you perceive yourself, your identity. One of those 2 things need to change so that they can align. And once they align, the execution of what needs to be done to reach the goal, it can be so much more easier. Hence the 30 days. Once we reframed introvert to I'm curious and I want to learn, once we change it to that, now going for 30 days is much easier, don't you think? for 30 days of asking 3 different strangers, striking up a conversation with them to increase confidence, building a point of commonality so she knows how to talk to people anyway. And that's going to give her the opportunity, because she's curious and she wants to learn. And for that, she's going to increase her confidence by doing the exercise. But had she been with the thought process of, I'm an introvert and I'm isolated and I'm withdrawn, well, this process would have been so much harder. And she may have done it because she'd have to push herself, but long term, it wouldn't be sustainable. So anytime you want to boost your confidence, guys, moving your passion to profession, keep that in mind, that your actual frame of mind, your identity, has to mirror, has to be in line with the goal, for the goal to work. And make sure, if you're in that position where you're anxious or have anxiety, when you're out and about, make sure you actually go out and do the 30-day exercise. Go out for 30 days, 3 different people at any time. Talk about anything you like. Find a thread of commonality and you'll boost your confidence and you'll be able to sustain turning your passion into a profession. Catch you soon.